quick note. If you want to understand what really makes people succeed in German and how you can build a language to actually use it, join my free live workshop at bettergerman.info/workshop. Welcome to the Better German podcast. My name is Susie Blümel, and I will teach you German and everything around the language, the countries, and the culture. This episode is going to be a short introduction into the subject of formal and informal communication in German. When you talk to a person, directly to a person, there are different forms used when you talk to a friend or your family versus somebody that is a stranger or that you meet in a professional level. So before I go into the details, I want to say that when you meet other like-minded people in a pub or as a tourist somewhere in Austria or even at work and they're on the same level or it's not a super formal company, then we will use the informal forms and more these informal forms become normal. However, if you are within a business setting, you meet someone for the first time in a business setting, or you go to a hotel and the person addresses you, it is very likely that they will use the formal forms. Overall, you will probably not err when you use the formal forms. I personally, that's my personal choice, like to use the informal ones better. For example, with all my students, I'm generally communicating in an informal way. And also the students that are kids. But there's a whole philosophy around that. Maybe I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. But let's talk about the forms themselves. So if your native language is English, then this could be new. There are similar things, for example, in French. So basically, I have already taught to you, and you probably have already heard, hopefully, the forms for to be. So, ich bin, du bist. I am, ich bin, you are, du bist, and so on. So, actually, if you haven't, that was episode 30. So that could be a good start if you haven't heard that. What we're talking about is the form or the variations of the form of you are. You are would be du bist. When I talk to a friend or to someone of my age or to my mom, I will say, du bist schön. You are beautiful. Or maybe you could ask a question and you could say, bist du fertig? Are you ready? Maybe you have had the thought, maybe I'm not good at German. Then I want to assure you that's not the point. That's not the problem. I'm going to show you what is the problem. And how I show you is I have actually put together a workshop. It's a free live workshop on Zoom. And in there, I'm going over what could make you think that. We'll cover what could go wrong, but I'm also going to show you how can it be done right? So go to bettergerman.info/workshop and sign up for the workshop, and I'll see you there. Now, when we are having a formal communication, this whole thing changes and we say Sie sind. So instead of du bist schön, I would say Sie sind schön. And instead of the question, bist du fertig? Are you ready? I would say, sind Sie fertig? And now, if you have learned a little bit of German already, maybe you notice that these are the exact same forms as when I talk about other people in the plural. So if I talk about several other people, like in English, that would be they are, and that would be Sie sind, and we use these exact forms We say when we talk about several other or more than one person or thing. So in German, we use these exact forms for this formal communication. And it's actually not a very hard form. Let's make another example. So you could say to a friend, gehst du morgen schwimmen? Do you go to swim tomorrow? And that would be the du form, gehst du morgen schwimmen? But then in the formal communication, we do not use du. We use basically they. So we say, gehen Sie morgen schwimmen? So you don't actually have to learn any new forms. They is what you use for the formal communication. You just have to get used to it. And that's pretty much the most important thing. This form for they is also used in formal communication when you address a person or several persons. There is no difference in this formal communication form if you address one person or several persons. So let's make a few more examples with translations. I'm going to give you a non-formal, an informal version, and then the formal version. So, an informal version, du spielst sehr gut Klavier, is you play the piano very well. You play the piano very well. Du spielst sehr gut Klavier. You play the piano very well. And now, if you're talking formally, that would be Sie spielen sehr gut Klavier. Same translation. You're playing the piano very well. Or fliegst du morgen nach Paris? Do you fly to Paris tomorrow? You could say. And in the formal version, that would be fliegen Sie morgen nach Paris? Okay, so now let's do it the other way around. I'm going to give you a formal one and I'm going to give you the possible translation. So if you have a sentence of like, Sie liegen in der Sonne, then that could be they are lying in the sun, or that would be the most literal translation. And then, as this could be also a formal in communication, it could mean you are lying in the sun. Sie haben 200 Euro bezahlt. That means literally you paid 200 euros. You ask at the reception, how much did I pay? And they tell you, Sie haben 200 Euro bezahlt. You paid 200 euros. Or it says that on an invoice. Sie haben 200 Euro bezahlt. You paid 200 euros. But that's a formal communication. So, informal, that would be, du hast 200 Euro bezahlt. And now, as we said, we are using the forms for when we talk about other people. That means that this formal communication, Sie haben 200 Euro bezahlt, could mean they have paid 200 euros. That's the same thing. So that depends on the context. Okay, so to sum it up, one more time, we have a formal communication form in German. That means when we address a person directly, there's two ways of speaking to them. We have this formal communication when the du thing is the informal one, and for the formal one, we use the they, which is sie. And it's sie with plural. I hope this is understandable in any way for you. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you liked it and it was helpful for you, please share it with other people and let them know that this exists. And if you are looking for a course and you want to learn German online, then you can, of course, find all the infos as well on bettergerman.info. So, see you there and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Here is a story from one of my students. She came to Austria because of love, and she started learning German, and she tried learning German, and she learned German with different people. She had private teachers and private tutors that tried to help her, and she worked hard, and she didn't speak German. Then she came to me. I worked with her, and she was not a difficult student, frankly. Not at all. She was one of the easiest students I've ever had. We didn't do private lessons. She was in one of my small group programs, and after 2 months, she spoke German. That's her saying that, not me. Her name was Diana. And I'm not telling you this because I want to tell you how great of a teacher I am, but I'm telling this to you because what was wrong here was the method. It wasn't her, it wasn't the language. And most people, when they run into a problem, they think it's them or they think it's the language. And it's neither of them. Everyone can learn German, but you have to use the right method. So if you want to know what you can do to actually learn German, then join me in the free workshop, How to Actually Learn German. It's really a culmination of all the things that I'm using in my German programs and also in the podcast, by the way. Join me in the workshop. It's a live free workshop with me. I'd love to see you there. It's on Zoom, and you can find out everything about it at bettergerman.info/workshop.